What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. Before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to Ticket TV. He did a video on this subject just a little while ago. So shout out to Ticket TV. If you're not subscribed to Ticket TV, please go ahead and subscribe to Ticket. All right. So David Faulk, who is now retired, was the longtime agent for Michael Jordan throughout his illustrious career, and he was on a radio program called 106.7 FM's The Junkies on NBC Sports Washington yesterday, and they asked him some questions about Michael Jordan. All right, the first thing they asked him was, how would Michael Jordan perform in today's NBA? That's one of the things that a lot of people like to ask, like to just sort of speculate upon. And he said that he believes that Michael Jordan would basically be twice as good as he was during his actual career. Quote, with virtually zero defense, no hand checking, I think if Jordan played today, if he was in his prime in today's rules, I think he'd average between 50 and 60 a game. I think he'd shoot 75% from the floor. If you couldn't hand check him, he would be completely unstoppable. He said, quote, now that I watched the documentary, I realized that unless you are legally blind, you can't possibly think that there's another player who ever played the game that's remotely in the league that he's in. Nobody. Now, this is what I have to say about that. Now, I'm not certain about 50, 60 a game or shooting 75% from the floor. That may be a little bit hyperbole on his part, but I'll say this though. People have to use their common sense about some shit. Now, the last year Michael Jordan played in the NBA, right, when he was 40 years old, he averaged 20 points per game. I want to say maybe 5 rebounds, maybe something like 3.5 or 4 assists per game. I think 1.5 steals. He shot 44, almost 45% from the floor, 82% from the foul line. Okay. Now, when you look at these numbers at age 40, now remember, this is a league that wasn't totally devoid of defense yet. You know, you couldn't hand check anymore, but you still could, be physical. Okay. The physicality wasn't totally knocked out the game yet. So when you look at those numbers, they're pretty similar to what you would expect from somebody like maybe, I'm just thinking about a particular player. They sound kind of similar to maybe Michael Finley, right? About Mike Finley, right? Mike Finley averaged about 20, 21, 22 points, shot about mid-40s. He was a better three-point shooter than Michael. But Michael was putting up those numbers in a league where scoring was still down. I think the league average at that time was like 92, 93 points a game. Okay. Now, put older Jordan, okay, put that 40-year-old version of Jordan in the league 4 years later when they started opening up the game. The league when Gilbert Arenas was scoring 60. Kobe was putting up 81. Paul Pierce went from 22, 23, all of a sudden 27 points a game. AI went from averaging 27, 28 to 33 points a game, and the shooting percentage went from 40% to 44, 45%. When they just started opening up the league and scoring exploded. All right? It's not hard to believe that in a league like that, an older Jordan could average 25 a game, right? 25 points a game. Maybe 46% from the floor. All right? 20 points, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, right? Now, put him in the league today where you're averaging not 97 points a game as a team, but 111, 112, 113 points. Some teams more than that. So now is it really that hard to believe that maybe he's averaging at least, at least 27 points, shooting 47% from the floor, 83% from the foul line. The rebounds and assists will be a little inflated, maybe 7 rebounds, maybe 6 assists, maybe 2 steals. Okay, now this is a 40-year-old Jordan. What about the 35-year-old Jordan last year with the Bulls? Is it hard to believe from 27 to 34, 35? Now put prime Jordan in the NBA. Why is it so hard to believe that he could average 40? It's not. You got to look at it logically. Okay, look at things logically. I could see him averaging 40. I could see him shooting about maybe in the upper 50 percentile. He's still a perimeter guy, so he's going to take jumpers, so he's not going to shoot the percentage of a center. I don't agree 75%, but I could see him shooting 57, 58% from the floor because he wouldn't have to work at getting his shot. You know what I'm saying? Michael had to really contend with dealing with double teams all the time, and he was always countering that, which is why it always appeared that he got a good shot, but he was working on beating the double team all the time. Nowadays, guys just try to shoot over double teams, which is actually not very smart most of the time. You know what I'm saying? But now, guys can't be physical. Guys can't put their hands on Mike. Now you're trying to use your footwork against a guy that had tremendous footwork on the court, possibly unparalleled, and was unbelievably quick and definitive in his offensive moves, at a level we really haven't seen. Not even Kobe was as definitive as Mike was in his prime. So yes, if Kobe was able to put up 35 a game during the 2005-2006 season, when the league average was 97, I don't see how Jordan can't have at least one season. If he's in a situation where he's on a bad team, like Kobe was, I don't see how he can't put up 45 a game. It's unfathomable. If he was able to put up 37 a game one year in that league in the 80s, I don't see how he can't average 45. If James Harden can do it, I don't see how Jordan can't do it, but even more efficiently, much more efficiently. So that's that with that one to me, you know what I'm saying? Now, as far as with another topic he touched upon, which is Scottie Pippen. He said that basically Scottie Pippen has always been somewhat jealous of Michael Jordan. And he said that this documentary has touched upon that. He said, quote, Pippen has a certain level of jealousy towards Michael. He has said recently many times he thinks LeBron's a better player. Now, if you're Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan made your career, completely made your career, even if you think that, keep it to yourself. Scottie's problem, as the documentary points out in so many different places after the episodes you've seen, is that he wasn't a great competitor. There were times, for silly reasons, the migraine. You think that Michael Jordan would have done that unless he had his leg amputated? Then Faulk brought up Jordan's famous flu game to make a comparison. Scottie didn't play part of that game because he had a headache. People forgot that. Scottie, I think, did have a headache during the flu game. Okay? But Scottie felt compelled to compete because here's Mike with a severe flu, running a fever of 100, 101, vomiting before the game. And he's out there playing and playing well and competing, So Scottie did come out there, but I think there was a stretch where he was having an issue. Now, Scottie was not a superstar coming out of college, of Central Arkansas, but Jerry Krause, saw something in Scotty that he thought could be developed. And that's why they made that trade, that draft day trade for Olden Polynice. Okay? But Scotty did not come into the NBA gangbusters. He averaged 7.6 points per game. All right? And Scotty was very inconsistent. And the knock on Scotty when he came into the league was that he was soft and that he could be bullied psychologically, physically, and that he didn't have a shot. People get on Michael for not having a shot, but Scotty really didn't have a shot. When Scotty first came to the league, he was more of a slasher. He really was not known for his mid-range or outside shot. These were things that were developed over time, competing with a guy like Michael to work on your game, to get better over the years. And I'll say this too. When Michael Jordan retired in October of 1993, right, I was shocked that Scotty didn't average more points than he did. The year before, when the Bulls won their last championship during the first three-peat, Scotty averaged, I think, 21 points per game that year. Because he and Michael kind of had to carry that club because that bench was terrible. That might have been the worst bench. I think that was the worst bench overall during the championship era. That bench was terrible. So Michael and Scotty had to up their scoring to carry that team. But with the absence of Jordan, you would have thought Scotty would have averaged even more than he did. Like he went up from 21 points to 22 points, which is okay, but it's like Scotty never wanted to come outside of himself. Scotty never wanted to play past the level of his comfort zone. It's like, I don't understand why Scotty didn't put up 25, 26 points a game. Okay? For instance, Anthony Hardaway. When Shaq went out with injuries during the 95-96 season, Penny at one point was averaging like 26, 27 points a game. He was second in the league in scoring to Mike. Now, when Shaq came back, he fell back and deferred to Shaq, and his scoring went back down. But the point is, there was a time when Shaq was out that Penny upped the ante. He played like the lead guy. Scotty wanted the respect of a lead guy, of a lead player, the top number one dude, but he never wanted the total responsibility on the court of the number one guy. Okay? And that's a reason why a lot of times Phil gave certain plays to guys like Tony Kukoc instead of Scotty. Okay? And I'm going to say this too for emphasis too. I truly believe that if Scotty was a superstar coming into the league, like a Michael Jordan, like an Oscar Robertson, to a slightly lesser extent like LeBron James, like these types of guys, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal, Moses Malone, even though he came into the ABA. I think that not only would Chicago have won those 6 championships, you can make the argument that Chicago, their championship drive or run would have started earlier. Now, I'm not sure about 1989, but 1990, if Scottie Pippen was more ready, if Scottie Pippen was this guy that people keep saying that he was already great, and Jordan was holding him back, which is bullshit, they would have went to the finals in 1990, because the Pistons had to go to Game 7 to beat the Bulls that year, okay, in the Eastern Conference Finals. They got a tougher test from the Bulls than they did in the finals against the Portland Trailblazers, who they beat in 5. Game 7, Detroit won 93-74, okay, which was a 19-point win, a big win, all right? However, When you look at the Bulls, all right, this is why they lost. Michael Jordan had 31 points that game on 13 of 27 shooting. I think like 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals. Okay, he had a great game. Outside of Michael Jordan, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen, John Paxson, who am I forgetting? Bill Cartwright, and B.J. Armstrong all collectively shot 11 for 57 from the floor. 11 for 57. Pippen, 1 of 10. So, if Michael had just gotten some help that night, or that day, excuse me, the Bulls would have beaten the Pistons. If Scottie could have made half his shots, if Horace Grant could have made half his shots, the Bulls would have won. But, Horace Grant went 3 of 17. Scottie went 1 of 10 that game. BJ went 1 of 8. So that's the frustration that Michael Jordan had to deal with sometimes. Sometimes it really was Jordan and the Jordanairs. It was like him by himself out there. But if you weren't watching basketball at that time and you just watched the finished product of Scottie Pippen in the 1990s, then you think we're just hating. But you got to really look at those 80s teams with Scottie, and you'll get a clear picture of what we're talking about. Now, don't get me wrong. When Scottie Pippen got it all developed as a basketball player, he was tremendous. But he wasn't quite Michael Jordan when it came to his overall skill set, and especially when it came to his competitiveness. Scottie could still be somewhat bullied. Okay, he could still be somewhat bullied. He got tougher. Okay, playing with Mike, but he didn't have that fire and that burning monster. That's the only way I could really say it. Mike was a monster out there. All right, so that's pretty much all I had to say, man. Tell me what you guys think.